Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of Pill Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And we've been doing this for 18 years, teaching people um, how the bank has been overcharging us by 75%. We need to start paying attention, ladies and gentlemen, to how much interest we are paying to borrow this money. Interest cost is something that has that we've been taught to ignore, and we're going to get into that today. And as if we continue to ignore interest cost when there's something that we can do about it, we need to have a whole new view of borrowing money, because we have been fooled into thinking interest rate is important when it's actually interest cost. So Ruben, let me bring you up to the stage. All right, invite to speak. Excellent. So I'm going to I got to get all of our cameras here and everything so Kurt can present us properly. All right, so put our extra camera in there, Kurt. There you go. All right, excellent. So we've got that in there. So Ruben, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. Interesting topic of conversation.
So what brings you to the stage?
Well, I was a Navy SEAL for about 10 years, and when I left the military, my income dropped off significantly, and I self-educated. I read every book you can get your hands on personal finance and debt management, and I learned about a debt roll-up strategy. And I didn't know how to use Excel, so I had a whiteboard behind my bedroom door with all my debts on it, the highest debt to the smallest debt, what my balance was, and monthly payment. Every month I'd change the balances, and when I paid that first one off, I'd take that debt service amount, the payment for that one, I would add it to the payment of the next smallest debt, and I just did a debt roll, got myself out of debt in a hurry. And then I answered an ad in the paper as a debt management consultant.
Okay.
And I was living in San Diego, California, and it was a group interview. Guys, way more sales experience than me, real estate, mortgages, PNC, life and health. And this big guy, he's like 6'8", he used to be a professional volleyball player, gets up to talk about we're a debt management company. We put everybody in a debt roll-up strategy. Um, we have a relationship with a subprime lender.
Mm-hmm.
If there's equity in their home, we'll do a second or a new first to restructure strategic debt that creates the largest margin of savings, add that into the debt roll up, and
Mm-hmm.
incorporate consumer credit counseling and debt settlement strategies. We can get you completely out of debt, including your mortgage, in as little as 5 to 10 years without increasing your monthly payments. And I could read everybody's mind in the room thinking that's too good to be true.
Hey, Ruben.
And I'm
Can,
thinking, go
Ruben,
ahead.
can I say, I can tell you right now that most of the people who come to this room know that the debt roll up strategy works, but it's highly inefficient. And it's inefficient, meaning it doesn't take into account how much interest you're actually paying on the debt. You're actually going to pay way more interest than you need to by taking a debt that maybe your interest cost this month is $25 or even $50, and paying that debt off, when you can take that same money and put it on a different debt and save $800 interest. By letting that $800 interest one lag on, then you're actually going to end up, you get the benefit of paying off the debt, but you're going to pay way more interest than you need to. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. When I the so I'm all ears. I mean, I got a background. I went from being a mortgage. Every time I showed somebody how to get out of debt, I got my. They wanted to buy a house, so I got my real estate license. Started doing mortgages and real estate.
There you go.
Did well, and then I when I was heavy with construction lending, that took a hit in 2006,
Uh-huh.
and I got invited to a seminar. I used to go to events to network, and I saw the World Financial Group system,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh, this can help people, right?
Right.
And so I didn't see how much money I could make. I was just looking for more referrals from mortgages and real estate. And I
Right.
took this young guy on like 40 appointments in my database in 1 month, and I got about 6 referrals, made about $10,000
Mhm.
in
So
commission. I was
Ruben,
happy with that. He
maybe
made
you can help me.
30,000.
Yeah, maybe you can help me today. You're just on Clubhouse right now, but is it possible for you to pull up a second phone or a laptop or even a tablet and go to um, YouTube and take a look at the Pill Method YouTube channel? And you can see the screen I'm getting ready to put up. And because what we're going to be talking about today, real estate investors leaving millions on the table, the basics of this is not knowing how much interest you're paying on your debt. And if you would be willing to help me by looking at the numbers, I would appreciate that very much. Is that possible? Is that something you can help me with today?
Yeah, I can grab a tablet. Hang on.
Great.
And
Fantastic.
use YouTube Pill Method.
Yep. Go to YouTube, search Pill Method, and click on the live. Let me know when you see it, because right now we're getting ready to put an amortization schedule on the screen so that I can talk about what real estate investors are missing out on by not paying attention to interest cost. Okay. So we're going to share the screen, get that ready to go. All right.
Okay, let me see here. Hang on. Hang on.
All right. While he's doing that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you all to say good morning to everybody and where you're tuning in from. Good morning. I see Notary Giant says good morning. Good morning to you all. And I'm right here in Huntsville, Alabama. Good morning. Just tell us where you're from, everybody. Give you a little sunshine. All right. And while you're doing that, Ruben, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. So when you're ready, just go ahead and unmute yourself, and then we'll bring you back in there. So everybody, let's see if you're online. Sharon M. Jones says good morning from Pulaski, Tennessee. All right, she's watching us on YouTube. All right, and let's see. I got Brittany in here. I got Byron. Listen, I see you guys have red tickets. So if you have a red ticket, meaning you're not a member of the of our program, so go ahead and click on Mortgage Syndicate and join the house. Also, click on my profile, scroll all the way down, and join the Pill Method house as well. And so we can, so you can, whenever we're on, you can be able to come in and say hi. I see Brenda in the house. Good morning, Miss Brenda. Good morning to you. And so we're going to get started here in just a minute. I'm putting on the screen right now. Gloria Everett says good morning from Laurel, Mississippi. So, folks, let's jump into this thing because the basis of all of this is you have to know how much interest you're spending to manage your debt. Okay, that's where we're going to start. All right, so let's take a look at the amortization schedule. We're going to add that to the stream right about now, Kurt. All right, there it is, folks. I have a $400,000 mortgage at 7%. Okay, $400,000 mortgage at 7%. And let me go ahead and duplicate this so we can give an example. And the payment on that mortgage is $2,661.21. Here's how much. See, listen, number one, when real estate investors are looking at this debt, they're looking at how much the interest rate is, but they're not looking at the interest cost. The interest rate may be 7%, but then when they could take their money and invest it and make 16 to 20%, they're saying, well, listen, this 7% rate is a bargain because because of it, I can make 16 to 20%. Do you see where we're going? Now, I get it. It makes sense to think of it that way because that's how we've been taught. But let's take a look at what the interest cost really is. And here's what we're taking a look at on a $400,000 mortgage at 7% interest for 30 years. Here's how much interest the bank wants. $558,000. Wait a minute. I thought we borrowed money at 4%. I mean 7% on 400,000. But when we take a look at the interest, total interest paid, that's $558,000. That's way more money in interest than we borrowed in principal. So how is that 7% of $400,000? Well, it isn't. In fact, if you look over to the right, total interest paid as a percentage of principal is 139.5%. 139.5%. That's what 7% really means. So when you're a real estate investor or a residential home buyer, you have to take a look at the interest cost on the loan. All right. So, Ruben, are you back with us? Are you seeing us online yet? And I muted you, so you're gonna have to unmute again.
Yeah, I'm getting YouTube up here right now.
Okay, great. All right. When
And
you
I'm
get
looking for P.I.L.L method.
right, you're looking at for P.I.L.L method. Search P.I.L.L method, and then it'll come up, and then you'll be able to see which one is marked live.
Okay, P.I.L.L method live.
There you go. Plug in, and once and you can skip if a commercial plays, then you can skip that in 5 seconds, and then you'll be able to see my amortization calculator. And make sure you turn your volume down on whatever other device you're using, or we're going to get some feedback.
All right, I'm seeing you. There's a lag.
All right. Yeah, there's going to be a lag between what you're hearing here on Clubhouse and what you're seeing on the screen. But here's what I want to ask you. Here's a $400,000 mortgage at 7%. I'm scrolling down so that you could see the interest cost on this thing is $558,000 over 30 years. And we're going to take a look at the first few payments here. And this is where you can help me so people can understand what's really going on with these loans. Now, when the screen stops moving, when we make our first payment, how much money goes to principal, Ruben?
300 and, well,
I can make it bigger if I need to. Let me know.
Principal balance is 327,800. Interest, okay.
We're looking at payment number one.
Yeah, I'm looking at payment number one.
Principal?
$327.88.
How much goes to interest?
$2,333.33.
Okay, so most people know that it is possible to prepay on a loan, meaning you can you make your minimum payment on the mortgage, and you could put an extra $100 on it or $50 on it. You know that you can do that, correct?
Yes.
Most people don't know what happens when you do, though. So here's where I need you to help me. Now, what I'm describing is how a loan works. I am not describing what we teach, all right, as far as how to mitigate interest. So I'm just using this as an example. So if we make our first payment in January, $327.88 goes to principal. $2,333 goes to interest, but I can also see February's principal payment, which is how much money? February's principal payment is how much?
Which payment is February?
Well, you can take a look. If my first payment is January, look at so I got payments.
Okay, so it's $329.79.
Exactly. So here's my question to you. Do I have to wait till February to give the bank that $329.79?
No, everything you pay above and beyond the minimum goes straight to principal.
Exactly. So
straight paying everything out faster, right?
All right. So if I put that on principal, am I paid down to line 2 in January, where I owe, look at the principal balance, $399,342.33. I'm paid down to there in January, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm paid down to there in January, my next mortgage payment for February is on what line of the schedule then? Isn't it line 3?
Yep.
So the payment for March actually moves up one, where I paid $331.71 in principal and $2,329.50 in interest. Here's my question to you. What happened to this $2,331.42 in interest on line 2? What happened to that?
What happened to that?
Yep. Because we paid the $329 early. So what
Yeah,
happened
you paid
to
it already.
Yeah, what happened to the
You paid it already.
$2,331.42?
Well, you
There's
paid it already.
actually, you pay the interest on line 1. When you made your first payment, you
Right.
paid $2,333.33, right? If we waited to February to make another payment, we would have paid $329.79 to principal and $2,331.42 to interest. But we didn't wait till February to give the bank the $329. We paid it in January. So if
Got
we
it.
would have paid the $2,331, what happened to it? If we paid the
Well,
principal early?
you got reduced because you reduced your principal balance.
There you go. There you go. And most people think it's just got reduced. Would you be excited to know that you just totally saved $2,331.42 in interest you never have to pay on this loan because of that? How exciting is that?
That's exciting.
You just reduced your overall interest cost of $558,000 on this loan. You just reduced it by a total of $2,331.42. Now, let's take a look at this. Gloria Everett online says, wow. I want to say good morning to Strategic Secrets online. Good morning to you. Gloria Everett says, yes. And let me see here on Clubhouse. I see Brenda. She's from Hiram, Georgia. Good morning, Brenda, to you. And this is Don Daniel from Huntsville, Alabama, saying hello to all of you. So here's the next thing you can help me with, Ruben. Here's the next thing you can help me with. If I make because I know this now, if I make my principal payment, if I make my regular payment in January, and I'm looking at this amortization schedule, what would happen if I gave the bank the next 3 principal payments in January, the one from line 2, line 3, and line 4, about $1,000 extra dollars. I put $1,000 on principal on top of my regular payment in January. What happens to these 3 interest payments? $7,000. What happens to that?
Well, it's significantly reduced.
Yes. So is it true that I do not have to pay this interest cost? I don't have to pay that interest cost, and I don't have to pay that interest cost. Nearly $7,000 just by prepaying about $1,000. Is that true?
Yeah, because it goes straight to principal.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying when it comes to looking at another loan. Okay, I'm looking at another loan. I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this loan. We're going to take and we're going to pull this over here. Boom, like that. Okay, and I'm going to change it. All right, so now I have not a $400,000 mortgage. I have a $40,000 car loan at 6.5%. Boom, and I have it for 84 months. Okay, because I love long terms. I like long terms because I just pay them off early. All right. So now, according to the debt snowball theory or debt roll up theory, if I was going to take a look at something, I would take a look at trying to pay this loan off first because it's less than the $400,000 on the mortgage. Now, here's what I'm not saying, that we should ignore the car payment totally. I'm just saying there's a time to put money on the car payment and there's time to put money on the mortgage payment. But if I were to look at it strictly as the debt roll up, this would be one of the ones I would do first and completely pay off this $40,000. And here is my payment, $593.98. I would figure out how much I could put with that 593.98 so that I could pay that off in, let's say I could pay it off in 2 years. And then I would take all of that money, the 593.98 plus whatever I added to it. Once it's paid off, then I could then take that money and apply it to mortgage principal every month. Have I successfully described the debt roll-up system?
Yes.
Okay. So if I pay this off, all right, and a guy called me. And the reason why I picked this, Ruben, is that a gentleman called me not too long ago who was driving down the road in his car, and he's a sales manager, and he says, "You know what? I have this debt, and I'm looking at this debt roll up theory, and I got 40 grand in the bank. I got 40 grand in the bank." And so he says, "Well, if I could pay this off and then save this money, right?" So he takes 40 grand out, pays off the car, all right, and then he says, "I take the rest of that and I put it on the mortgage every month." All right, so let's say he does that. And so I asked him, I said, "Well, if you do this, how much?" And I said, "Well, if that's what you're doing, that's what the experts are teaching. Why are you calling me?" He says, "Because I saw one of your videos online, Don, and I'm wondering if I didn't do that wrong." So I asked him, "How much interest did you save by paying off the $40,000?" He said, "I don't know. I don't know." And so if we're going to do that, I think it's important to note that, ask the question, if all of your debt was 0% interest, is there any financial benefit to paying it off early if it's 0%? And he said,
No.
no. He says, okay, then the reason why you pay off the debt isn't to pay off the debt. The reason why you pay off the debt is to save the interest. And you want to pay off the one that's going to save you the most interest. So watch this. So we did the math, comes out to about, let's say this is the total interest paid on this loan. Okay. So if he pays it off tomorrow, he doesn't have to pay $9,894.32 in interest. If he just pays it off tomorrow, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay that interest. But he's got a $700,000 mortgage, not a $400,000 mortgage. I need you to take a look at cumulative principal. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. Oops, too big. Okay. I need to take a look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest. This is how much principal we pay down in any given month and how much principal interest we pay down in any given month. When it stops moving in the first year, you pay this loan down by $4,000, but it costs you $27,000, almost $28,000 in interest to do that. If we were to put $40,000 in principal on this thing on line one, $40,000, let me show you what happens. We scroll down, and you can let me know when it stops moving on your screen. We knock off about 93 payments off the mortgage, and we save over $200,000 in interest. If we take the 40 grand and put it on the mortgage, instead of taking the 40 grand to pay off this debt, the car, and then taking the $500 and just adding it to the mortgage payment every month. So here's my question. Is it more cost effective to take the 40 grand and pay off the car in one shot, or take that $40,000 and put it on this mortgage? That's my question.
The mortgage.
Exactly. So when it comes to debt elimination, would it be fair to say that if we had a system that took all of the average family has about 13 different debts. The average family pays 35 to 39% of their take home pay on interest alone. All right. And when we take all of that into consideration, would it be better to take a look at how we can strategically pay off these loans so that we could save the maximum amount of interest that's mathematically possible for that particular family? And we have a computer program that does all of that. Okay. So it's taking the best of the debt snowball theory, plugging a computer into it, and then being strategic about which loans we attack and for how long. And here's another thing. Even this loan, even the mortgage loan, let's say you have a ton of other loans. Okay. And maybe you're a real estate investor and you have more than one mortgage. And you start out attacking the right one. Pretty soon, if you start out attacking this loan here, take a look at these interest payments. As you attack this loan, the principal payments get smaller and smaller and smaller, but the interest payments get smaller and smaller, while the principal payments get larger and larger. Doesn't it make sense to attack a loan that is costing you a lot of money until it doesn't? And then instead of paying it to zero, let's find out when it makes sense to start attacking another loan where we could save more interest. Instead of paying it to zero, we pay it till it's not as expensive anymore, and then switch to another loan. And we keep switching back and forth until we're out of debt in about 7 to 9 years. But the interest savings for the P.I.L. method clients is like $150,000 to $200,000 in interest they don't have to pay, because that's our focus. Our focus is interest savings, which translates into time savings. What do you think, sir?
Well, I like hear what I'm hearing.
Mhm.
Okay, so being more strategic, getting the most out of your money
Yes.
is important.
Yes.
Okay, what I did, just learning what I learned, the basic debt roll up. Um, I when I made extra money, I didn't throw it to the debt. I saved that money.
Uh-huh.
So by the time I paid off like $15,000 in debt, that's what I had at the time. I didn't have a mortgage at the time. I had socked away $50,000 in the bank
Right.
during that time. So I with everything above beyond the uh, the debt management, um, the debt service amount, when I saved that money. Okay, which a lot of people don't do. They don't do.
Exactly.
Okay, so getting we do an illustration showing a guy with about almost 399,000 in debt, paying it off in 12 and a half years, and I wanted to know what he saved in interest. And I just took the debt service amount and times the amount of months that we paid off early, and we actually saved more than $417,350 in interest by doing the debt roll up.
Wow.
So
Now you're
with
talking.
yours
Yep.
being more efficient, that's intriguing to me.
Now you're talking, because now we're talking what real estate investors are talking about is what you're talking about. I could, instead of just I'll take a look at this loan over here, because what they're saying is I have the loan payment. I am renting this thing out, and I'm cash flowing on it. And I'm taking any other monies instead of paying down the loan because it's 7%. I'm taking my other money and investing it, and I'm getting a cash on cash return 16 to 20%. And so I like what you're saying that, and tell me if I'm wrong. Am I hearing you say that we should find an equilibrium, a certain amount of money that we should be putting towards debt elimination and a certain amount of money towards wealth creation? Am I hearing that?
Right.
Ah,
You're at the
oh.
same time you're paying down your debt, you're building on your nest egg for retirement.
Ruben, you have hit the nail on the head. Can I show you what? Here's an example. Here's and while I'm pulling this over, I want to say good morning to Mr. T.M. Hyman. T.M., how are you doing, sir?
Good morning, family.
T.M., listen, I want to.
Doing all right, bro.
Listen, I'm glad you're here today because what we're talking about how real estate investors are leaving millions on the table. And I just put an example on the screen this morning about a real estate investor who read my book. All right, and he's very influential here in Huntsville, Alabama, and very, very successful. All right. But he read my book and he gave me a call. He's so successful that when he called me and told me his name, I thought somebody was pranking me. Okay. And I said, well, why would you be calling me? And because I've not been in business as long as you. He says, Don, the reason why I'm successful in business is because I keep my options open for new and better ideas. What do you say to that, Tim? TM, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Oh, maybe he's busy. All right. So here's what we got, Ruben. I'm looking on the screen here, and if you're new to the room, go to YouTube, search P.I.L.L method, and you can see the example on the screen. Here's an example of a real estate investor of he's got $2 million in debt, $2.2 million in debt. All right. And he has an income on this real estate as averaging $57,800 a month. Okay, because these are two office buildings, $57,800 a month. His mortgage payments on this is $14,696. So when he read my book, he started to understand how paying attention to interest costs was hurting him. All right. So he says, but Don, even though I understand what you're talking about, 36,000 of that money that's coming in, 36,000, because he's got a percentage. He says about 63% of it, I want to put immediately to work. I do not want to put it as paying down the principal. I don't want to use it to save interest. I want to make money with it now. I said, okay. All right. But he did tell me that he put $6,500 in a fund every single month from these rents so that he could do repair and maintenance on his buildings. Okay. 6,500. So it's about 11.2%. So that's how we broke it down. So it's about 11% goes over here, but 63% I want to go ahead and start investing in other properties right away. I said, okay, let's see what we could do with that. All right. So when it was all said and done, and if you want to take a look at the individual numbers on this, I'll be glad to show you. But when it was all said and done, we're going to save him using only a portion sustainably of the $6,500 a month he's putting away. When I mean sustainably, here's what I mean. We're going to do what Ruben has said is we're going to take some of that money. He's got over $100,000 in this account because he's got several other buildings. These are just two of them. All right. He's got over $100,000 in that account that he is using for repair and maintenance. So I said, could we take some of that money out and apply it to principal and figure out how much interest we're saving? When we do that, then we're not going to do anything else until we replace that money with this $6,500 we're putting in every month. Folks, does that make sense to you? I'm going to repeat that. We're going to take a lump sum of that 100,000 he has in the bank, apply it to principal, and when we do, we're going to figure out how much interest we're saving. And then we're just going to make minimum payments every month until we put that money back in his fund to build it back up. That's what I mean by sustainably attacking the loan from that fund. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. So put a yes in, put a yes or no. And if you don't understand it, put your question in. And all right.
So you're taking the you're transferring the $100,000 from his bank account
Right.
into the mortgage, but then you're taking a portion of the 6,500 for maintenance and putting it back into an account,
Right.
like using dollar cost averaging. That's what you're doing.
Exactly. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're not taking it all out, just a certain portion. Okay, just a certain portion. All right. So by doing that, let me tell you I'll tell you the end of the story, and then I'll tell you the middle. I know that's kind of crazy. Tell them the end first, and then you tell the middle. All right, but here it is. The amount of interest that the bank wants on these two loans is $1,123,195. That's how much interest they want. Using our system, we're going to get them down to only paying $231,468 in interest. That's an $891,000 interest savings. It's $891,000 in interest savings. Okay, so we're going to take that money we're going to take the money and look at not how much money he's making on his investments. He's already used that. He's already done that. He's already figured out what his long-term investment strategy is on the $36,000 every month. What he didn't figure on is the $891,000 in interest he didn't have to pay. Now he's not paying it, and we're tracking it. He's owning the same amount of equity or the same amount of property for $891,000 less. So what if he was planning on paying that $891,000 anyway, and he was making pretty good money while paying the $891,000? What could he do with the $891,000 if he could invest it instead of giving it to the bank? Make another $9.3 million with it. And this is at a 1% return on his money, not a 16% return on his money. This is a 1% return on his money. So let's get into a little bit of what he's doing. I'm just going to put one of his mortgages on the screen, and we're going to get into it in just a second. But first of all, let's get back to understanding what is really going on for real estate investors when they are spending their money. All right. Let's just say we got a $400,000 mortgage at 7%, multifamily, however you want to do that. It is making money. I need to show you the interest cost in 5 years. Okay. Watch this. Here's the interest cost for 1 year. Let's take a look at the interest cost for 5 years on this loan. And this is what we don't pay attention to. Here is 60 months. And when it stops moving on your screen, everybody, if you're listening to me on Clubhouse and watching it online, there is a slight time delay. But in 60 months, we only pay this loan down if we just do what we've been taught to do as real estate investors. Just make the minimum payment and take any other cash and invest it. We're going to pay down our equity by $23,000. We're going to gain equity by 23 grand, but it's going to cost in just 5 years $136,199 and a penny. Folks, here's my question. Is $136,000 in interest too much to pay for 23 grand in equity? Can anybody tell me that this is okay? That paying $136,000 just in interest, can they justify that so that they can make money elsewhere and not even bother to save any of that 136,000? Does this make sense to anybody? Tiana McNeil says way too much interest to pay. Way too much. Jonathan Jones says too much, not okay. Too much, not okay. So this is what we're trying to tell the real estate investors that are looking at the 16 to 20% cash on cash return. But they're not looking at, if I just, it says, Keanu says, where's the YouTube link? Just go to YouTube and search for P.I.L.L method. Go to YouTube and search for P.I.L.L method, and you'll be able to find it. All right. And if somebody wants to, if somebody's looking at it, please put it in the chat for everybody else for me. So put it in the chat find that YouTube link and put it in the chat for me. I'd appreciate that. All right. So thank you for asking, Keanu. All right. So, because if you asked it, that means probably somebody else needed to know as well. All right. So Gloria Everett said, absolutely amazing watching this on YouTube this morning. So here is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to focus in on this very, very closely. When you borrow money as a real estate investor, and let's say you're looking at the long term now, you got a property. No matter how you obtain the property, you could have gotten it through no money down means. You could have gotten into it without maybe just a little bit down. Maybe you use somebody else's what they call hard money to get into the property, but eventually you're going to cash out refi. You're going to cash out refi, take that cash and do something else with it, meaning you're going to get a long-term loan. Now, you've already put into play how much money you're going to be investing on your properties. All right. Now we want to add something to it. We're not taking away from anything that you're already investing. We're not taking away from it. We want to add to it. Okay. So take a look at what you're making already when you're looking at your cash flow. All right. Let's just say I'm making $700 to $1,000 cash flow on this mortgage every month, meaning my mortgage payment is so much, but I'm renting it for so much. All right. And then when I do the subtraction, let's say I have, $1,000 or $1,500, even $2,000. I'm cash flowing on this like crazy. Now, what is the first thing we have to start thinking about when we start making income? Can anybody tell me what's the first thing when you start making income? What's one of the first things you have to start thinking about when you start making income? Taxes. Oh my gosh. The amount of money that we're making from the front end of this thing, now we have to look at how much tax we pay. Here's my next question. How many strategies are there out there so that you can pay the tax man the legal minimum? I mean, isn't that what we want to do? We make this money, we want to hang on to it. Isn't that what we want to do? Everybody?
That's right.
So we apply. And listen, we've heard all sorts of tax strategies. And so if we look at and try to count them up, how many tax strategies have we heard about? And compare that with the number of interest cancellation strategies we've heard about. How many interest cancellation strategies have we heard about saving money on interest? compared to how much money we've heard about saving in taxes. And let me tell you here today, you're going to pay, if you're a real estate investor, you're going to pay far more interest than you'll ever pay in taxes. So why are we so focused on the tax portion and we're completely ignoring the interest cost portion? How do we get there? Somebody has sold us a bill of goods saying this is where we need to focus and not focus over here. Listen, here's the bank. The bank is making, and it's really, and it's really not the bank, ladies and gentlemen. It's really not the bank. Guess what the bank is doing? The bank is lending you the money, but they're getting their money back on the secondary market when they securitize these loans and investors pick it up. Investors are buying this paper from the banks so the banks can replenish their supply, and they sell it at a discount. That's where they make most of their money, selling your mortgage at a discount. They make their money, but the investor says
they get it right back. They don't got to wait 30 years to get their principal back.
Exactly. And so while they're doing that, the real estate, the investors are looking at this thing and saying, the person who has this loan has no idea how much interest they could save if they prepay this thing, because no one is ever taught what prepayment really means. So here am I as a real estate investor. I buy stuff on the secondary market. I'm an investor. I'm buying paper from the bank. I'm buying mortgages from the bank. I have a whole company that does nothing but that. I buy this one mortgage, and guess what? I'm making $2,333 in interest on this one mortgage. Next month, I'm going to make $2,331. Next month, I'm going to make $2,329. Listen, folks, that is some tremendous money. And in the first year, listen, I bought this paper at a discount. Okay. I bought it. And then, but in the first year, I'm going to make $27,000 on this one mortgage. Over 2 years, I'm going to make $55,000. Over 3 years, I'm going to make $82,000. 4 years, 5 years, here's 6 months. Here's 60 months. Most people refinance these mortgages in the first 5 to 7 years. But if I can keep you as a homeowner or a real estate investor in this home, I'll make between $136,000. Okay, that's 5, 6, 7 years. Between $136,000 and $188,000 before you refi out of this thing.
Hey, Don, and in many instances, man, it's mind-boggling, right? And in many instances, we think we're paying the bank, right? But it may not be the bank at all.
Exactly.
Right? Because that paper has been sold. And so that is nuts, right? When you think about it, man. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your book, Don. I purchased your book about 2 years ago at this point, man. And I think when you ask the question, why do we focus on the taxes and not the interest? It's like anything else, right? I mean, people direct our attention to where they want our attention to be. And that's all we focus on is taxes, right? We don't talk about interest, but I think the strategy that you've educated us on, man, and you've been relentless with staying on par with this message of interest, man, it's crazy. I mean, when you think about $1 million, right, almost $1 million in interest, that is ridiculous. And the fact that we can cut that not just in half, but like by 75%, man, it's hard for some of us to wrap our mind around it, but it's crazy, but it's real.
It is real. It is real. Thank you for that, TM. Thank you for that. So now that we've got this background, ladies and gentlemen, can I show you just a little bit about what we're doing here at the P.I.L.L method, in understanding what happens when you sustainably attack, when you sustainably attack these loans in a way that you can make money and save money. All right. So here's another mortgage. I'm going to put this on here. All right. Here is one of the mortgages that I told you about. The payment is $8,704 a month. Okay. The interest rate is 5%. All right. We're going to take this out, and it's a 300-month loan because it's a commercial loan. All right. This is my commercial client. This is one of his loans. All right. So remember, now here is the breakdown on this mortgage. It's $1,488,906.65. This is just one of the mortgages he has. All right. The interest that the bank wants on this one mortgage is $1,122,000. $1,122,000. He's borrowing 1.4, but the bank wants from him $1.12 million. So why was he willing to pay that in interest before? Because he was making so much money on the front end, he didn't even notice how much he was paying on the back end. Ladies and gentlemen, does that make, is this how we're being taught? Okay. So Ruben says, I hold seminars for commercial real estate investors going over cap rate. Knocking down the mortgage sooner will definitely increase your net operating income. Oh my goodness. So what we want to do is find that, Ruben, what we're looking for is that fine line. It's called critical point analysis. How much should go to debt reduction? How much an interest cancellation? How much should go to wealth creation? All right. So here's what you cannot do as a real estate investor. You can no longer say to yourself, all of the interest that the bank wants, 100% of the interest that the bank wants is the cost of doing business. Even though the bank wants all of that interest, should we have to pay it just to make money? So we get into the thing, we get into the loan here. All right. We get into it we're borrowing money so that we can make money elsewhere. Okay. And what we're also saying to ourselves is, yeah, I don't have to worry about this because I got into the loan so that I can make cash flow over here. But we've already said that the cash flow that you're making, you also have to pay taxes on. So even the cash flow isn't everything that it's cracked up to be because you have to pay taxes on it. So what I'm saying is continue to make that money, continue to invest money, but also stop ignoring the interest cost on these loans as well. We got 10K cards in the building. 10K, how are you doing this morning, sir?
Don, I'm just chilling, man. The little birdie told me you're going to have an exciting topic to this. I'm here to check it out.
All right, man. Listen, we're getting really excited here about what we're getting ready to put on the screen now. So remember, I need to bring this back. All right. Boom. All right. Remember, I told you that on this guy, he's bringing in over $57,800. He's bringing that in. All right. He's paying $14,696 in mortgage payments, and I'm just bringing one of the mortgages. All right. He's taking $36,000 of his dollars and he's immediately putting it right back into investing and making more money with it. But he's putting this money here on the side. Okay. He's putting that away to do maintenance on his buildings. He has over $100,000 in this account already. Okay. Some buildings are practically new. They don't need much maintenance right now. So he's putting this money away for the future. All right. Okay. Watch this. Watch this. So when we get back here, all right, let's pull this back up. All right. So now here's the mortgage I was telling you about. So I pointed out to him, in the first year on this loan, you're going to pay. Remember, when you borrow money from the bank is purchasing your equity. Keep that in mind. The bank, when you do this with the bank is purchasing your equity. They own it now. Okay. They own about 80 to 90%. They don't own 100% because they're not going to give you 100% in loan. They own 75 to 80% of your equity, and you're buying it back a little piece at a time. You're buying back the equity a little piece at a time. And so real estate investors need to look at this way. I'm not just paying the mortgage. All right. And stop looking at it as your tenants are paying the mortgage. Your tenants are not paying the mortgage. Your tenants don't have a mortgage. Your tenants don't have that mortgage. Your name or your entity's name is on that mortgage. Your tenants have a contractual agreement with you. They're paying you and you're paying your mortgage. Keep that in mind as we make some additional points here. All right. So now in the first year, the money that your tenants gave you, you got $73,000 in interest. You got $30,600 in principal pay down. You got $73,700 in cumulative interest paid out in the first year. Folks, that is over $104,000 that your tenants gave you on this commercial property. Over $104,000. And out of that $104,000 your tenants gave you, because you're cash flowing so much on the front end, you thought it was okay to give 70% of it away and be left with 30%. Tell me, in what world does that make sense? That somebody gives you $104,000 and it's okay with you because my tenants gave me the money. You can throw away 70% of it and only keep 30. I'm asking, does this make sense to anybody? Yes or no? Put it in the chat.
Absolutely no.
Okay. Mimi says no, it doesn't. So here's what I'm suggesting, folks. And my program tells you exactly what to do and when. Exactly what to do and when and how much money. I'm just using this as an example. Let's just say, remember that $100,000 I told you about? The real estate investor has in an account sitting in the bank making 0.1%, just waiting for something to go wrong so he can fix or repair or just rejuvenate office space. Somebody moved out of it or whatever. All right, he's got the money to take care of that. If I'm going to pay the bank $30,699.86, is this money I already owe the bank? I'm just paying back what I owe, correct? I'm paying them $30,699.86. If I pay them in the way they want me to pay them, I will also pay them $73,748.14 for the privilege of paying them back the money that I owe. So the money that I owe is the money that I owe. I cannot pay back more money than I owe. I owe, here's what I owe, $1,488,000. I have to return that money. They can't charge me any more principal than I borrowed. They can charge me interest, but they can't increase the principal that I borrowed. So when I pay back the money, I'm paying back what I borrowed. So when real estate investors take a look at this and saying, I'm paying back extra, why would I pay back extra? You're not paying back extra. You're just paying back what you owe. But here's my point. Do you want to pay back what you owe on the bank's time schedule or on your own schedule? Let's take a look at it. So I got $30,000 that I could pay down in 1 year. That's all the principal payments added up over here. And all the interest payments are over $6,000 a month. Comes to 73 grand in 1 year. So here's my question. If I know I have to give them at least $30,000, is there anything keeping me from giving them the $30,000 in 1 month? I can take $100,000. I can take my regular mortgage payment, take a little over 30 grand out of the bank, out of that fund where I have $100,000 in, and apply it to this mortgage. Here's my question. Would I not be paid down to line 12 in just 1 month? I'm going to give them the money. I owe the money anyway, but I'm choosing when to give it to them. If I give it to them in 1 month instead of over 12 months, ladies and gentlemen, what happens to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12? Over $67,000 I save. Real estate investors, no matter who's talking in your ear, can you now justify knowing that in 1 year you're going to have $30,000 in equity? This is your equity. This belongs to you. You just bought it. Can you now justify paying $73,000 in interest for $30,000 in equity when all you had to pay was $6,203.78? Can you? That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So if I'm going to pay if I'm going to get 30 grand in equity, when I could pay $6,000 for it, then that means that I have the equity. It didn't cost me 73 grand. So let me put it to you this way. 10K, you're in the building, right?
Talk to me, Captain.
All right. So I go out, I'm taking my wife. You met my wife.
First of all, I don't know how she ended up with you, but yes, I met her before.
So you met my wife. So we go out to dinner. All right. I'm taking her to a nice restaurant. Took her to a nice restaurant. Okay. And by the time it's all said and done, you know, when we had everything done, it came to $500. Okay. We had a very, very good time. Come to $500. And then you come along and see me in the restaurant. And because you're a nice guy and you like us, you're telling me, when I asked for the check, the server comes over to me and says, the check has been taken care of by that guy over there.
That sounds absolutely about what some that we would do.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds like us.
So 10K. So 10K paid the bill. I fully enjoyed the meal. I was fully prepared to pay for the meal, but I got the meal for free. I got everything I was looking for, except I didn't have to pay for it. So here's my question. What could I now do with that $500? Could I find another way to spend it, or should I invest it? 10K, what do you say?
I would say if you invest it, Don, it's going to grow much faster. If you invest it, it becomes yours.
So I need to take a look at as a penny saved is a penny earned, right?
That's
wow. So if I take a look at that and says, okay, I was going to spend it, but I didn't have to get the same value. Now I can take that money I would have spent and I should invest it in something else and make it grow. Here's what I'm saying about this loan, ladies and gentlemen. And I say, I got Tile in the building. How you doing there? So, and I'm going to get to your question in just a second. All right. So here I am. This is what you're talking about is arbitrage. Ruben, Lord have mercy. Listen, you keep hitting the nail on the head. That's exactly what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about arbitrage. I'm talking about using some money over that would have been used over here. I'm taking that money and I'm using it and making more money with it somewhere else. Here's what you need to take a look at. If I pay this down by the way the bank wants me to, did somebody else raise their hand to come up? I'm looking. Okay, moderators, I need you to help me out here. Somebody wants to come up, please let them up. All right, because we want to get as many questions in here as we can. If I'm looking at how much money I'm spending over here and I don't have to spend it, what I need to do now is I already have the formulas in place to figure out if I take my cash flow minus the tax money, how much that money is going to make for me over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years if I invest it properly. Here's what real estate investors are not doing. Watch this very closely. If they can get this equity for $67,000 less, what would they make on that $67,000 if they had it to invest and do the same calculations over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years? This is the millions of dollars I'm talking about that are being left on the table. You're making money over here on the front end, but if I can get this equity at 75% cheaper, what I'm not entering, see, here's the sleight of hand, ladies and gentlemen. The bank wants you to believe so that they can make their investments look better to people who buy their paper on the secondary market. The people who buy paper on the secondary market absolutely know for sure that you're going to be giving them this interest at least over the next 5 to 7 years before you refi. And if you don't refi, they're going to get it a lot longer. They're going to make some serious money. They're counting on the fact that you never learn how to read this thing. The investors are counting on it. So if you can get this same equity for $67,000 less, and you're not figuring into how much that $67,000 could make for you, then you can't properly do a opportunity cost calculation just by doing money on the front end and not calculating the interest savings on the back end. If somebody tells you that only look at how much interest on the loan, 5%, and why pay off a 5% loan when you could take money and make 16 or 17 or 20% with it, then they're not helping you to see that the 5% ain't 5%. And in this case, it's 75%. They want you to ignore what you're giving the bank. And if you give the bank all of that money, now do the calculation, because we're going to give you the numbers. All right. When you do a savings and earnings report, we're going to give you the numbers on how much interest you could save. So let's go back here. Take a look at this. This real estate investor is going to save $891,000 in interest. He was willing to pay. He signed a note to pay this money. Then he read the book. And he says, now I don't have to pay that money. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what is the interest? What is the opportunity cost lost if I don't have that $891,000 to invest? Talk to me, somebody. I got some questions here. So let's start with Ty first. Ty, you have Don. Is there any instance where it makes sense to cash out refinance to a lower interest loan for a higher one from like 8 to 3? All right. Is there any instance? Well, to tell you the truth, I can't think of a good one. If I can afford, let me put as if you're a real estate investor, you really do need to see this as well. All right. And if you want to raise your hand to come up to the stage and ask some additional questions, please do that. But while I'm getting that set up, 10K, will you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do while I'm getting this next situation set up here? I know I caught him while he was getting a drink of water. I bet you I did. All right. So let me go ahead and get this set up. And we're going to pull this over here.
Don, as soon as you're done, I have a case study I want to run by you.
You
so let me
do?
know as soon as you're ready. Yeah.
All right. I'll be glad to. So I'm going to do this one first. Let's go ahead and put that up. I've got an 8% loan. All right, 8% loan. I got $200,000 at 8% for 30 years. All right. And I got this, how much I have left on it. All right. I got here's my payment. It's $1,467.53. I have the ability, I have now, after, let's just say, in 5 years, I can refinance it. In 5 years, I can refinance it. So let me duplicate this tab. All right. So in 5 years, I paid this loan down by $9,860.35. I paid $78,000 in interest on it already. So I'm going to refi the $190,000. It's going to cost me $10,000 to refi. So I'm back up to $200,000. Okay. Are you watching this, everybody? It's going to cost me 10 grand to refi this thing. I'm back up to 200,000, but I get a 3% interest rate. Let's say I could get that 3% interest rate. Okay. So, I'm going to take the 190,000, copy. I'm going to put this in. I'm refinancing that. Paste it in here. All right. Take the comma out because this program doesn't like the comma. All right. And I'm not at 8% anymore. I'm at 3%. But they're going to give me a new 30-year mortgage. That's what they generally do. All right. But I'm going to change this 190,000. It's going to cost me 10 grand to do it. So now I'm back up to 200,000. 139.65. But here's my new payment. I'm at 843.80. 843.80. All right. And my old payment was 1467.53. 1467.53 was my old payment. Here's my new payment. All right, at 3%. Let me show you something here. All right. My principal payment on the 8% loan, starts out at $134. Okay. And if I prepay the $135, I can kill this much interest and take out one payment. Okay. The higher the interest rate, the lower the principal payment. Keep that in mind. When you control the principal payment, you control the loan. Higher interest rate, lower principal payment. So my $135 can work for me if I learn how to read this thing. All right. So if I'm already down here to 5 years in, look at my principal payment. It's $198. And I get to eliminate this by lowering my principal payment. By lowering the interest rate. I need you to see what my principal payment is on virtually the same amount of money after I pay the $10,000. Take a look here. Now look at my principal payment, ladies and gentlemen. Look what I did to my loan. Look what I did to myself by lowering. I owe the same amount of money I did 5 years ago. That's number one. And number two, look what I did by lowering the interest rate. Look what I did to the principal payment. I'm now at $344 if I want to get rid of one line. Does that really, by lowering the interest rate, did I just make it harder to pay the loan off cheaper and faster? By lowering the interest rate, did I just make it harder? Anybody?
Absolutely. Come on.
That's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So watch. So when we take a look at this thing, now remember, I just refinanced the thing. I just refinanced it. I paid $10,000 to do it. So to get back to my $190,000 I had before I refinanced it, I got to pay back the $10,000 first. Well, look how long it takes me to pay $10,000 off. 29 months. Look how much interest I'm going to pay on the $10,000 I borrowed to get the 3% loan. That makes it harder for me to save money and pay it off early and save interest. Ruben, what do you say, man?
Oh, you're making a really strong point.
That's what's going on, all because something is hidden from us. What is hidden from us has always been the interest cost on managing the loan. When you bring the interest cost into all of this, I'm gonna mute you, Ruben, because I'm getting some feedback. So when I bring the interest cost into the conversation, then all of our numbers start to change. But if I can be conditioned to ignore interest cost, I can make money on the front end and be satisfied with that, then the bank will get 100% of all the money that they're looking for. And they're not hurt by this at all. And they need that. Why do they need that? Because when you don't know how it works, they can sell their paper easier on the secondary market, because not a lot of people understand how they're cutting their interest cost. If it became popular, this is why people who work at the bank, who work at the mortgage company, aren't taught how an amortization schedule actually works. Because if the word got out, the product wouldn't be as valuable on the secondary market. 10K, you got something for me.
You know, Don, I've always been a little confused by something.
Yes.
I remember about 2 decades ago when I was about to actually purchase, I was supposed to get a loan for something. And they calculated the loan for me. When I did my novice mathematics calculation and I run the numbers back, the percentage they promised me on the loan was not what I paid in the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question I want to ask, and I want to role play with this with me because I believe other people may have a little complex with this situation. When someone borrows a loan of, let's say, $100,000, I want to keep the numbers very simple.
Okay.
When someone borrows a loan for $100,000 and the interest rate is 5%, how much do they repay over a 30-year period?
All right, I got that for you. It is exactly $93,255 on a $100,000 loan.
So instead of 5% interest, they're actually paying 95% interest. Is that correct?
93, yes.
93% interest. All right, cool. So my question to you is, are people aware of this? Are people aware that when you go to buy a house, they're going to say, oh, by the way, you're going to be paying back 93% on this loan? Are people aware of that?
Absolutely not. More people need to become aware of it, but most people don't realize it at the closing table. No.
All right. So the question is, Ruben, are you there?
I had to mute him. So Ruben, if you're talking,
you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of that math? You borrow $100,000 over 30 years, you pay back $193. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's foolish.
Okay, and do you think if the public was told you can get a loan for $100,000 to buy a house, but you're going to pay back 193, do you think the public would still be buying that loan?
Well, that's very interesting that you're saying that. Okay, so you ask your loan officer to let you see the truth in lending, and it'll show you how much you're paying if you hold on to it for term.
Okay, so
And it'll scare them off. It'll scare them off. So they said the option arm is a pay loans. We start off with the 1% tickler, and then you have interest only option. Then you can pay the full amortized payment. If you just paid the 1%, what you don't pay in interest gets capitalized and added to your principal balance. So I had a broker that went to law school, had an MBA, another ex-Navy SEAL, and bipolar alcoholic on top of that. Made me learn to calculate the truth in lending down to the penny. So when I would show people that, it would scare them off for doing that type of a loan. And so most loan officers aren't showing it to them and explaining that to them, but it's all there in the documentation.
I'm a ADD kind of guy, Ruben. Oh man, your echo is crazy. Let me just mute you while we're talking. 1 second. How do I do this again? All right, so I'm an ADD kind of guy, Ruben. I can only focus on one thing at a time. So the one focus I want to have is this. Let us say we're borrowing 100, we pay back 193. Don, how can you help someone that's borrowing 100 to pay back less than 193? What do those numbers look like? Talk to me a little bit about that, please. Because borrowing 100 and pay back 193 to me is just criminal.
All right. Well, if I were to do a thumbnail sketch, because there's a lot that goes into it, but what if you could borrow the $100,000 instead of paying 93,000, you could pay around 30,000 without jeopardizing your ability to continue to invest.
For 60,000 savings, I'm all yours. I'm listening. My ears are all perked up, Don. Let's go.
All right. That's what we're helping people to see. We're seeing that because the mindset is it costs me more money to do that. It cost me to save $60,000 when in fact you're only giving back the bank's money that you borrowed, but you're choosing the time frame in which to give it to them. We're going to help you to have the right timing to give the bank back their money in such a way as it makes it impossible for them to charge you all of that interest. And when we're tracking the amount of interest for you, now you can say, I own the asset at $60,000 less, because what 10K was talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is that your true cost on the house is not 100,000. Your true cost on this house, when you sign that note, is 193,000. How do I know? Because 9 out of 10 people you know, I need you to write it down. 9 out of 10 people you know will never pay off a mortgage. 9 out of 10. So if the banking is making all of that money, we're missing the boat. Would it make more sense, ladies and gentlemen, if you and I, you and me, if we were the bank? Wouldn't it make more sense for us to become? Let's think about it from the bank's point of view from right now. Let's think about it from the bank's point of view and the investors who buy the paper. Let's look at it from their point of view. Here's their point of view. I'm lending money and I'm making money. All right. So here's what a bank does. They borrow money. They're the biggest borrowers in town. Whose money are they borrowing, folks? Whose money are they borrowing? If the banks are the biggest borrowers in town, whose money are they borrowing?
Our money, the customer's money.
Exactly. All right. And then what are they doing with that money, Sean?
Loaning it out at a high interest rate.
All right. And then what are they paying us for the use of our money?
Pennies on the dollar.
My question is, folks, if success leaves footprints and we're trying to copy success,
Why not become the bank?
why not become the bank? Come
I
on.
love that, Don. I love that. All right. So in layman terms now, how do we become the bank?
Here's one way in layman's terms. I'm a real estate investor. I'm getting into real estate investing. All right. And instead of renting out the properties, I set it up on a lease option to buy with the same type of amortization schedule a bank uses. So if I put this out on a lease option to buy, let's say I put it out on 5 years. In 5 years, you have to buy this property, or we have to renew the lease option. All right. I'm going to sell this property to you on a lease option. All right. You're going to give me a down payment, and you're going to make on this 100,000. Let's go back to one of these other loans. Okay. On this $400,000 loan. All right. You're going to give me a down payment on this loan, and you are going to make these payments where you're paying it to me so that you can buy the house from me. Doesn't it make sense for me to get the $22,333 a month on this, or the $233,000? Does it make more sense for me to get this? What if I had 10 properties, 20 properties, even 50 properties where I'm making this kind of money? I become the bank. Does it make more sense for me to become the bank?
I love that. I love it.
So Sean, listen to this. If I am the bank and I'm making this kind of money, I get to see it from the bank's point of view. And if I'm seeing it from the bank's point of view, I want to make as much as I can for as long as I can, correct?
1,000%.
But if I'm on the consumer side, and now I see the bank's point of view, why do I want to be the person that pays as much as I can for as long as I can?
Because as Jim Rohn said, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. What is easy to do is also easy not to do. So what I love what you're doing here, which is very new, Don, is instead of you arguing with the consumer to pay a better rate, you're arguing with the consumer now to become the bank and get the benefit that the bank gets.
Come on.
And if they can't see either of those two lenses, you need to leave them alone. Okay, so I love that.
So folks, if you're the bank, just like he said, look how much money you can make. So do you want people finding out how not to pay you this money? Yeah.
And that's why the secret is so well kept.
That is why
great point, Don. Great point.
That is why the secret is so well kept. So Jessica has a question here. So then you want to make 100K. Yeah, then I don't know exactly what you mean by that, Jessica, but yeah, I want to make the money. I want to make the money. If I'm the bank, we need to become the bank. It says, Jessica, again, you have something up here that says yes, or capitalize on the appreciation. Most of my properties appreciate 100K in 3 to 5 years versus of waiting to make 100K in 30 years. Exactly. So now, Jessica, now, along with market conditions where your properties are appreciating, you can make additional monies by not giving the bank $558,000. Let's just say, all right, instead of giving them $558,000 to own the same property, let's say you could give them $180,000 instead. You give them $180,000 in interest to own the same property. Your property is also appreciating, and now you can take let's see, the 550 minus hold on for a second, 558. you can take the $372,000 in interest you didn't have to pay and invest that as well. Jessica, does that make sense to you? I'm getting so excited here, folks. I'm getting so excited because what we're talking about here is going to be up on the internet forever, and you're helping me get the message out. I need you right now to share this information with everyone. Share this information with everyone. We're going to do a quick reset here because we're at the top of the hour. You're in the Mortgage Syndicate this morning, and the Mortgage Syndicate is open for business, giving out free game. It's from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Friday. We come in on Sundays so that we can get you ready to jump in there on Monday to get additional information. We're bringing information that no one else is talking about. No one else is talking about it. Why is that? Because I own the copyright. We have a book out right now. Let's put the book on the screen. And we have because of all of you people in here, I have a special on my book today. I'm putting my link at the top of the room, ice10k.com, ice10k.com. Let's print it up there, ice10k.com. There we go. There's three things you can do here to get this special. Buy one book, get another book free. And here's how you're going to do that. If you buy the paperback today before midnight Central Time on Sunday the 9th, midnight tonight, this goes away. Central Time, this goes away. You buy the paperback, all right, and take your receipt, and then DM me on my Instagram, the receipt and your address. We will send you another book signed by me. A 2-for-1 deal you cannot beat, but you have to use the link in ice10k.com. Go to ice10k.com because I want you to have our digital card and save it to your phone. All right. Get the card, ice10k.com, find the link that says get the book, all right, and then buy the book, and I'm talking about the paperback, all right, buy the paperback, then screenshot your receipt and send it to me on my Instagram, on my Instagram, and with your address, and DM me, and I will send you another book signed by me. 2-for-1 deal. What do you guys say to that? All right. But it goes away. It goes away today. Roger Farmer says, good morning, Don. Roger Farmer is blown away. And he's watching us on YouTube this morning. Also, folks, so listen, a lot of you have been listening in and you like what you're hearing. You may be a real estate investor. You may be a residential home buyer. But if you want to know more information, guess what? You can get individual coaching and access to our proprietary software, our cloud-based AI computing platform that does all of the math here. So all the guesswork is gone. All the guesswork is gone. All you need is a savings and earnings report. You can use the same ice10k.com, the same ice10k.com, and get a savings and earnings report. You can know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. If you're a real estate investor, you're not interested in becoming debt free, are you? You just want to know, how can I cash out refi 10 to 15 years sooner, get my money out of the thing, and then invest in more doors? How can I cash out refi at a much lower interest cost? Listen, if you can cash out refi $100,000, all right, years sooner, before you pay $150,000 in interest to get it, I can cash out my 100,000 before I pay 150,000 or $200,000 in interest. Listen, folks, I don't know of a real estate investor at all who has ever looked at how much they can cash out refi on one of their properties and not looked at how much interest it costs them to get it. Now you can. And you can get that. You can cash out refi years sooner by using our system and our coaching. And we've got people who have paid off 4 or 5 houses on our program. We have people who have 10 houses on our program, 12 houses on our program. Listen, 20 properties. Listen, we can, whatever it is, it can be managed by our system, cutting that interest cost, and we track the interest cost and then show you what your potential earnings can be with that interest you are saving that you were just throwing away previously. Real estate investors, get your savings and earnings report today. Go to ice10k.com and click on get a savings and earnings report. I'm going to give you a little hint here what to do. When you have to verify your cell phone number. When you're verifying your cell phone number, here's the trick. Make sure there's no spaces in your cell phone number. No dots, no dashes. We're supplying you with the +1. So put your cell phone number right up against that +1, all right? And then with no dots or dashes, no spaces or anything, go ahead and then click on confirm. We will text you a code number. When we text you the code number, take the code and put it back into the program. See, we want to verify your cell phone number, not because we want your cell phone number, because we want to make sure you're not a robot. We want to talk to real people, all right, that are interested. All right, so when we get that, we're going to send you a code. You put the code back in, and that verifies your cell phone number. When it's verified, then click on that last button down there that says, yes, I want to save. And then that will let you into our financial form. Put all of the finances in that we asked for, how much you owe, interest rate, minimum payments, income. Put those things in there. And then my staff will call you to confirm that information. Once it's confirmed, you can get a savings and earnings report. But if you want to get a consultation with me, it's only $150. And I'm going to tell you something that nobody else on the internet will tell you. Okay. That $150 you pay for the consultation is 100% money back guaranteed on your ability to assess whether the information was credible or not. If you don't believe that you got $150 worth of value, tell me before the call ends. I'll send it right back. Sean, have you ever heard of somebody giving such great value for $150 and then turn around and say, I'll give it back to you if you don't like the information?
You know that, like, you tricked me with a question, and I'll tell you why you tricked me with a question. My answer was initially going to be, I have heard it offered online before, but I've never seen it executed. And all my years of doing business with you, Don, one thing I know for a fact is that you are a man of your word. So anyone in this room, anyone that's actually listened to this message that heard that promise made by Don Daniel is good for it. Take him up on it.
So you have nothing to lose by getting your savings and earnings report. Okay. So here's the last piece of good information for you. Some of you are blown away by this information. Some of you are excited about this information. Some of you are still maybe kind of confused. All right. Listen, give me a call, set it up so that you can get your consultation with me. From all my information is on this card, ice10k.com. Get it, set it up. Because here's the last piece of information for you. Become an affiliate. Join our affiliate program. It's probably the most lucrative affiliate program on the planet that you don't have to pay for. It is completely free. You sign up. It takes about 15 seconds to sign up. Go to ice10k.com and sign up for our affiliate program. Listen, let me shout out 2 people who we just paid, all right, who signed up for the affiliate program. And let's see, let me pull them up right now. And let's see here. Okay, there we go. And where are they? I'm trying to get to so I could see. Oh, I had it and then it went away. All right. Who did we just pay out? Who did we just pay out? We paid out oh man, I can't find them in here. All right, we paid out 2 people $300 each because they, oh, here we go. Here they are. Here they are. Congratulations to Ingrid LaFlame, who signed up to become an affiliate. What did she do to earn $300? What did she do? She did this. She found some friends or family members or whoever, all right, that were tired of paying their debt the way they're doing it now. And they were looking for something better. She sent them over to our YouTube channel and then said, watch these videos. Then she followed up with them within 48 hours and said, are you still interested? Do you still want more information? They said, yes. And then she pulled up the 10K card again and said, oh, here's the refer a friend button. She referred them, very easy, put her name in the space of who referred them. They became a client and we paid her $300. Okay. All right, Sharon M. Jones, same to you. Shout out to you. Sharon M. Jones did the same thing and got $300. It doesn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen. In the same month, if you send us someone for a referral that has at least $100,000 in debt, they have at least $100,000 in debt, and you send them to us and they become a client, you send us one in 1 month, we'll pay you $300. But in the same month, you send us a second one, we'll send you an additional $400. You send us a third one in the same month, we'll send you an additional $500 for that one. And if you send us a fourth one, we'll send you $600 for that one. You send us a fifth one in the same month, we're going to double the $600 and make it $1,200. You add it all up, anywhere from $300 to $3,000 in just 1 month for helping people get to where they really wanted to get to, having better control over their money, saving money, and investing more money in themselves instead of investing in the banks. Then it starts all over again the next month. 300, 400, 500, up to 3,000. Now, so Don, what happens? Somebody asked me the other day, what happens if we send you more than 5 in the same month? After 5, you get $1,200 for every one if it's in the same month. There's no limit. If you want to send us 10 or 12 or even 15 in the same month and they all become clients, anything over the 5th one, you get $1,200 for. But it flushes and starts over the next month. Listen, folks, become an affiliate, get your savings and earnings report, and get the 2-for-1 deal on the book for free. Remember, if you want to get the book, get the paperback. That ends at 12 midnight Central Time, whether you're listening to the replay or you're here with us live. All right. And today is Sunday, July 9. Don't call me on the 10th and trying to get this deal because it will not be there. It'll be gone. 2-for-1. And that second one we'll send you is going to be signed by me, not rubber stamped. I'm actually going to take my little hand, even if it cramps up, and sign my own name to that book.
So wait, Don, let me just get this straight.
Come on.
Are you telling me that you're in the habit of punishing procrastinators and rewarding action takers? Is that what you're saying, Don?
That's exactly what we're saying, because it's not going to be here tomorrow.
I just want to make sure. Guys, the reality of the situation is those who take action get the results. Those who think about it end up paying in the end in all different ways. Also, becoming an affiliate costs you absolutely nothing, which is kind of weird for the industry. So Don is literally giving you a chance to sign up for nothing, guys. It doesn't cost you anything to sign up as an affiliate, and you're actually earning money for referring individuals that can get this program. So the way it look from my lens, Don, it's an absolute win-win. I'm so happy and grateful to know what you're doing, and I definitely co-sign what you're doing, my brother. Back to you.
So listen, we got some other comments in here. Ruben says, "Thank you for bringing him on." Ruben, no, thank you. Wait a second. Ruben is trying to thank me, ladies and gentlemen. Ruben, thank you. If you don't come to the stage and ask questions, if you don't come to the stage and say something whereby we can all learn something, then I can guarantee you that this conversation wouldn't have gone exactly in this direction. It's because of you, my friend, that other people in here have learned something today. Thank you. No, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. So anyway, and just because you did that, Ruben, just because you did that, you listen, if you buy my book, great. I'll send you a second one free. But here's what we're going to do for you. Even if you don't buy the book, if you DM me your address, I'll send you a book anyway, signed by me. If you want to buy one, great. I'm not going to keep you from doing that. But you send me your address, DM me on my Instagram. You just tap on my profile here, scroll down, find my Instagram, and put in DM me your address. Only we'll see it at our company, and we'll send you out a book for your participation today. Thank you so very much. So anybody else, do you have, Ruben says, excellent information. Roger Farmer says, good morning, Don. He's blown away. I think we answered Ty's information on the refinancing from 8% to 3%. All right. Let me see here. What else is going on here? By paying enough towards principal, you will save enough in interest to put towards a tax advantage vehicle. Oh my goodness. What did you just say, Ruben? A tax advantage vehicle? You mean I can, wait a second now, wait a second. Let me see if I got this right. With all of this going on, all this money saving, all this interest savings, I can take that money. I can buy a vehicle that for my business that weighs at least 6,000 pounds, and I can write the whole thing off.
Not that kind of vehicle.
Not that kind of vehicle? Oh.
Yeah, there. I got to thank my son. I'm 60 years old. My son's 32. He used to be one of the highest pay level for Tesla in Fashion Valley, San Diego. And when COVID hit, he got laid off. And he got trained to be an HVAC technician. So he makes much more money doing that than he did working for Tesla. And he says, Dad, I want to do one of those individual banking strategies. I've been listening to you for a long time. I want to do one of those individual banking strategies. Well, so what it is I got him a $250,000 index universal life. His target premium is $168.13 a month, but he can max fund it to $1,066 a month. It's after-tax dollars. It goes tax deferred, and when he takes it out, it's tax advantage. He doesn't pay tax on that, so he's real handy. And you don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half to get the money without paying taxes and penalty. You can get up to 90% in a wash loan. So if he finds a property he can fix up, and he rehab it, flip it, and put the equity back in his policy and go look for another one.
I got it. You see, listen, folks, this is a great strategy because we use it here at the P.I.L.L Method as well. We have a doctor, all right? Just one example. We have a doctor, and there's a point at which you start to violate the law of diminished return. He makes so much money. He's paying off his house in record time. He wanted to know if he could put more towards his house to pay it off sooner. But the advantages of interest savings go way down after putting so much towards your debt reduction. So we told him, stop putting money towards debt reduction at this point. Take that, and he's putting over $5,000 a month in his IUL that we set up for him. See, everything is in-house at the P.I.L.L Method. Set up an IUL, index universal life policy. Now, the way that thing is set up, he can, in just a few years, take out over because he's just not to know when can I take out $12,000 a month. Okay, when we did the analysis for him, we showed him at this point you'll be able to take out $12,000 a month, and then what will happen to the rest of that? He will have so much money into it that he could take out that $12,000 a month, and the principal on his earnings will continue to grow. He will never outlive that money. Oh my goodness, I love that idea. And so now what Ruben is talking about is he can take that money that's building, he can borrow against it and buy any car he wants. Now, this guy likes Teslas. When you said Tesla, because I went over to his house. He lives in Richmond, Virginia. I went over to his house and he called. And so he pulled up his phone and called the Tesla, and the Tesla drove itself around to the front door. So listen, he could take that. He could take those monies that he has in the IUL, borrow against it, and and buy anything he wants. And then when he pays it back, guess what he does? He sets up his own interest rate for it. And then when he pays himself back that money, then the insurance company has to pay him interest on the interest he's just paid. I mean, it's a flawless strategy. Ruben, you have been hitting on all cylinders today, my friend. You keep it up. You can come back any time you want. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get out of here, okay? We've been here, and I hope this has been beneficial to you. All right? I hope this has been beneficial.
I'm in Houston, Texas.
You're in Houston, Texas? All right, I'm
in Houston, Texas.
I'm gonna have to write that down because the next time I'm in Houston.
Oh, I just sent you a message on Instagram, my address.
All right, great. All right, so listen, folks, I want to thank you so very much, everyone, for being here today. All right, put a number 9 in the chat if you receive benefit from this show today. Put a number 9 in the chat. Also, share this information out to, if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, share this information out to your friends. Don't forget to buy the book. All right. And what we want to do is not only help real estate investors stop overlooking making millions of dollars. Let me put this back on the screen. Because, and this is crazy money. Compound interest working for you is, I'm telling you, it's the best thing since sliced bread. When you can take money that you no longer have to give the bank and over 17 years turn it into $9 million here that we showed this particular client. And this is only at 1% return on his money. This is only at 1% return on his money. Obviously, he's going to make more than that. But when we do a projection, we only do this part. Because this is a savings and earnings report. The earnings part, we only project at 1% return on the money, not some exorbitant 6, 7, 10, 12, 15%. No, 1%. You can basically count on that. Okay. And even at 1%, what I just showed you here is exciting. Real estate investors, stop throwing away millions of dollars by ignoring interest cost on the loans. So folks, listen, I want to thank you for being here. We're going to be back here on Wednesday. We're coming back on Wednesday, and I'm going to say goodbye to everybody online. All right. We're going to hear from Dr. Eric Thomas one time, but if you're on Clubhouse, hang out for just a few seconds, and we're going to let Sean 10K tell you a little bit of something about what to do. Sean, do you have, I got 4 minutes left. Can you take 30 or 45 seconds to tell even our online audience what you do and how they can get a hold of you?
I mean, Don, it's very simple, man. Anyone out there that's actually looking for a better way forward, a better way in business, you want to step one, make sure you're making the right decision. That's number one. Number two, if you're a business owner out there and you have your website, your phone number, your social media, I would say put it all together in one place, guys. So A, definitely make sure you're on the P.I.L.L method if you have an existing loan. B, if you have a business out there, get a 710K card. It's a digital business card to put everything all in one place. So if you want to find out more about it, guys, my number is in the bio. Send me a text message. If you want to take action on the P.I.L.L method, go to i10k.com and again, pull the trigger. Don't let another day go by without you not taking action. That's it, Don. Back to you.
If you're online, go to ceosean.com. Is that right?
That's CEO. Yep, CEOSEAN.com. Sean is SEAN. CEOSEAN.com.
All right, folks. That's for you guys online. All right, let's put that in the chat. All right, everyone. We're going to say goodbye to everyone. Dr. Eric Thomas, you have the last word today. Go ahead.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.